Hey guys, Stealth here. Today in FTD we're still heading towards the resource zone that I discovered at the end of the previous episode. And... oh, right, I pressed Control to start the recording and that's actually triggering all of my weapon systems insofar as I can control them. So, a couple of my missiles are going up. Anyway, talking about going up, I'm going to take the submarine up. We're going to head towards the resource zone. And we're going to start to do some mining. There's 2,600 points of resources there. I have 1,800 left. I have room for about 16,000. So I like to have some more resources aboard. Let's set the altitude to about -4. That's the complex controller for it. So I can do a bit of a crash dive if I have to. Submarine is coming up. Depth 138. Why are we not going up? Any particular reason? Currently switched off. Buoyancy set. Ah, there we go. The PID is now starting to intervene. Starting to pump all the water out of the submarine. And that should do it. I'm still considering putting a bit of a rubber block area around my sub. It barely has any armor, but it will absorb most of my radar return, as well as absorbing all of the EMP damage. EMP damage doesn't travel through wood either, but this thing also makes me less detectable by radar in case I happen to go up. Altitude -116. Any targets around? It states that there's a couple targets to the east. There's at least one bit of resources there. Looks like from an old kill. There we go. What are you two? A Duster Marine and another one. Okay. Not particularly worried about either of those. Depth 73, 72, 71. Okay. Slow down a bit. -50, 49, 48, 47, 46. We should be coming up for air, literally, pretty soon. I still really like the look of this thing. Propulsion operating at very, very low speeds. Depth, -25. The air pump is probably starting to turn back down. Yeah, buoyancy, 10%. How deep are we? -10. Go for a bit more speed. Are we up yet? What? I'm flying? I think the game is a bit confused here. Because I am in fact not flying. But, you know, whatever. If the game's going to be a bit glitchy like this, I'm going to be building a small periscope mast. And... I don't know if I can do that without getting it over one of the missile systems, but we'll have to see. That's the radar, sorry, the sonar system. Let's go with a new object, a spin block. Metal beam. I'll be adding quite a few of these to it. Then set it up through the control block, up and down. That's the wrong one. There we go, it's up. And if I add resource miners, then it should start to gather the resources that are in this zone. Come on, where are you at? Ugh. Turn, there we go. It is not mining. Why is it? Oh, we're not in a resource zone. Okay. Ah, there's the resource zone. Turn a bit. There! We're mining. Excellent. Now, stop the propulsion. Which is probably going to cause my submarine to do all sorts of silly stuff. That propulsion is stopped. I'm not sure why the water is not properly displayed. It looks really, really weird. But whatever, we're mining. And that's going to take quite a while. In the meanwhile, I don't believe that there's much to do. If anything. Let's see about that warp gate behind me. Ah, it's up in the air. I could add balloons to the sub, make it float, and basically turn it into an airship and try to get there, but that's not really what I like to do. Makes me a bit vulnerable. So no thanks. Are we still inside the resource zone? Yeah. Speed is about 0.6. Nah, we're just moving about a little bit. Now I'm considering adding more torpedoes to the sub. Making the bow a bit longer and a bit broader so I can actually get some room to do that. Start working on that. What's the best part to start at? I think here. Yeah, that's where the torpedo room starts. A bit of submarine surgery. Which is, of course, not something you would normally do underwater. During an operational deployment, because let's face it, that's what this is. But, in this case, it's FTD, so it doesn't matter. Alright, apply to all the torpedoes. Now we have a torpedo assortment of 8 tubes. Better. I like it. Then, and this is probably not going to have the correct paint scheme, but I first care about getting the submarine back into a watertight situation before I worry too much about the exact color scheme. About installing a beam there, and then one, sticking out a lot. How's my drag? Cross section, yeah, it's not reliable right now because I'm above water, mostly. I'm surfaced. So this doesn't really paint the whole picture. In that case, let's do a bit of a remodeling of the bow. In case you heard that launch sound, I really, really hope that that launch sound was in fact a radar buoy being launched, instead of a torpedo going out. The secondary option being far less appealing. Okay, then let's take another beam. Take a metal beam for the belly of the sub. Submarine is actually so big at this stage that I might actually be able to throw in yet another set of launchers down here. Up my torpedo complement to 12. No, never mind. 8 torpedoes should be able to take out most of the targets that I'll be dealing with here. Blocks, metal blocks, triangle corner, inverted triangle corner, and one more there. I finally get a bit of a breather while I'm actually building the submarine, or redesigning the sub. No constant action. Which I gotta say, I really, really welcome. Let's work on the nose again. Does that look alright? Not quite. Need to do redo a couple of these top sections. This thing I think can be a diagonal corner. One of those. One of those. Another sonar buoy or radar buoy being launched. One more. Yes, now we're getting somewhere. Triangle corner. Like that. Let's close it off. Platypus is getting a bit of a nose job. But it's for a good cause. How are we going to do this? A couple more of these beams. I could make the torpedoes even longer. You know what? Why not? It will make them more expensive, but it will also make them heavier hitting, or harder hitting. So, once again, a torpedo sonar on the nose of the sub. I'm going to put the regulator in the back. Ooh, there's the regulator. A couple of explosive warheads, and we're going to go for EMP warheads mixed in. Apply to all, done. A couple more beams. Those are 3-meter beams, I want the 4-meter ones. Why does that look weird? It's because of mirror mode? Nah. No, okay, never mind. Was that a single block? Supposed to be a metal beam. There we go. Triangle corners. Oh, never mind. We cannot actually install these. Okay. Okay. Then we'll just go for these. One there. And one there. Okay. Still getting a nice amount of resources. Any contenders coming in? Looks clear enough. No targets nearby. Looking good. Plenty of red warp jumps here. Not sure if they're airborne or not. The game is still being weird with the standard surface level predictions, but whatever. Which resources are left? 400. I really, really like the amount of firepower that I have right now. 8. Heavy, heavy hitting torpedoes. And maybe I can sacrifice one bit of explosive firepower for a fuel tank. My thinking here is that the further away I can hit the target, the safer I will be. Let's add some staggered fire add-ons. Give these things a bit more time between each launch. Let's fire off a torpedo, see what happens. See how long it's going to take before it runs out of fuel. I think it should be able to make about 2 clicks out. It is tracking something. Probably one of those... what were they? The aircraft that were down there, you know. Based on the fuel and the distance to launch pad, I think I have more fuel than the torpedo has time to fire. Let's see, 700 meters out, 800, with 8,000 points of fuel left. So let's say I get about 1,000 meters per 2,000 points of fuel, so that I have a 5-kilometer range on my torpedoes. Yeah, I don't need any bigger range than that. And considering that the torpedo keeps getting lighter as the fuel gets drained, I think that the torpedo is basically going to have a consistently longer range, because as you can see, it's slowly speeding up. Currently 21.5. The less fuel it has, the lighter it gets, the more speed it will get. So that should be a good aspect. Distance 2 clicks. Close enough. Okay, I'm going to lower my estimate about 4.5 clicks range. I don't need any further. So let's tell the local weapon controller here that my torpedo range is 4,500 meters. For some reason, this never seems to work. 4500, thank you. Minimum range still applies. Maximum altitude engage still applies. Okay. We done mining yet? Yep, resource zone depleted. Alright, lower the mast. Lower the mast. Probably right on top of my missile bay. Yeah. Okay, in that case, goodbye. Resource miners no longer necessary. If I need them again, I'm going to be building new ones. So this is not really something that I need to stick with me. And with that done, I think it's time to start heading for a red warp gate. So, activate propulsion. Tell the submarine to dive. Let's say required depth is minus 20, minus 30. Actually, I'm going to go back to minus 180. There. Speeding up. Let's see what my drag is. 49. Well, it wouldn't be a particularly fast submarine, but definitely well armed. And the game just keeps getting weirder and weirder as far as the models go. Really not sure what's going on there. Let's redo some of the paint job. There's the rest of it. Should have turned on mirror mode a long time ago, but whatever. All of these. I think I took one block more than I did before. Yeah, these things are now a bit further, but that's okay. Let's paint the rest of it black as well. And I may have actually forgotten the stern. Yeah. Unfortunately, the stern consists mostly of vertical beams, so it's gonna look a bit different. There we go. Okay, where's the red warp gates? Slightly to my southeast. Commence your turn. There's 3 of them together? Yeah, 3 of them together. Okay. And there is something here. A partisan. Looks like a sailing ship. I think it only looks that way. Looks quite heavily armored and quite heavily armed to me. Screw the warp gates, that's the new target. Come left. Submarine's hanging over quite a bit. Coming around in the roll. A bit too much, I might add. Because I'm almost rolling the sub over. Can I readjust that a bit? Because she seems to be a bit too heavy to roll to me. Let's put those things there. Put the rudder a bit further there. These are, of course, primary propulsion systems. Why is my altitude 6? Or -6? That is not good. My altitude should be way below waterline. This is unusual. Alright, I'm gonna have to save the game, pause the recording, and come back in a little bit if I have figured out what is going on here. See you in a bit. Hey guys, reloading the game apparently somehow fixed my issue, but my submarine is still on the surface, so I'm trying to put her into full speed ahead, trying to get her to actually dive, because I don't need to be on the surface, I need to be down there, where the submarine operates best. Now, it's firing all of its weapons. It's because my control button is one of the keys that I press when I want to load, or when I want to start the recording. Which, incidentally, is also the fire button. And that causes the submarine to also fire the weapons. Now, I'm really not sure why I'm not sinking. Because the air pump is switched off. The buoyancy is negative. And yet, the sub will not sink. It simply refuses to go down. Let's set speed a bit lower. I'm not really sure what's going on here. Output saturated. Aha. That's the problem. No control. With the air pump switched off, I should start flooding. But I'm not. Is there a second air pump somewhere? I don't believe so. Let's delete the air pump. Just took off something. There we go, now we're flooding. I think that the hydrofoils might be causing me to stay at the same altitude. This is really weird. Give me an air pump. This was working. This one is set to air pump altitude. Air pump turned off. Altitude -6. Why won't you flood? Actually, you are flooded. What the hell? Alright, let's take the hydrofoil system offline. And then see if she wants to go down. Still not so much. This is a really heavy craft. Why won't she sink? Altitude. Minus a little bit. Huh. So for some reason she won't sink. How about just opening the hull? Not recommended in any submarine, but maybe I'm not taking on water or something. -7. Oh, go down for fuck's sake, would you? Hull is not breached. I beg to differ, actually. -9. There we go. Submarine is diving. Finally. Will she still do that when the submarine hull is not breached? Let's once again have this thing set up. Output is saturated. Yes, that makes sense. Let's set this to 90 seconds to give it more time. -20, -19. What do you mean you're going up? Do you see this? Whoa. We're taking fire? Because the sub, in its current state, is quite vulnerable. Seriously, sometimes FTD makes little to no sense. Or at least I haven't found what the problem is. This is going to be a bit unusual. I'm going to push her down in a spiral. Trying to get to the desired depth. And then hope that the control block picks it back up. Minus 130, 140, 150, 160. And slow propulsion. There we go, minus 230. Okay. The PID block. This one is the hydrofoil pitch system. Output saturated, yeah, not surprising. You are my roll system, I think? Or were you the roll system? You're set for the hydrofoil pitch, and you are set for the air pump altitude. Minus 253, 252. Air pump is switched off. Considering separating the submarine into several sections. How's that for a tongue twister? Yeah. I'm going to separate the torpedo systems from the rest of the ship. So we're going to have a 3 meter beam, I think. No, 2 meter. And a block. And then what looks like a 3 meter beam there. There we go. And I think that this is now sealed off. Okay. Water. Air pump. 1 is enough. Buoyancy set to 6. That's good. Then we have, let's say, the forward compartment that I don't really have plans for yet. Maybe later. But that's where all the ammo is. So we're going to again seal off that section. And find a way to do that up there as well. One there. That's going to require a 3. That's going to require a 1. It does mean that I will not be able to walk around the submarine freely. But I don't really do that anyway. The system needs adjusting. I don't go into build mode and do it. So this is also going to need an air pump. Set to 4%. Altitude minus 180. Set my required depth at minus 180. Altitude 179er, 178, 177. Come on, tell me the air pumps are turned off. Yes, they are turned off. Minus 175, stabilizing. 174. No, we're going up. Would you give me a break and just stay at the altitude that I'm telling you? No idea what's going on. Anyway, there should be a target somewhere. Ah, there she is. There's the target. Make a port turn. And so far she's still going to do that. Still going up. Minus 160. What the hell is the PID doing? Hydrofoils, air pumps. You're not saturated. You're just not doing anything. Set it to 45 seconds. Needed to intervene a bit faster than it is currently. We're doing damage? Maybe. There's... ah, that's the 322 from one of the earlier kills. Not a problem. Make a turn. Close in on the desired target. And prepare to fire torpedoes. All 8 of them. We're probably rolling over in the turn again. A little bit. Not too bad. Not too bad. Okay. I believe that all the sections have their own air pump. Yes, they do. They're currently switched off. But I'm still going up. Going down. 111, 112. There we go. Now we're going down. Perfect. Do we have eyes on the target? Not connected to... Oh. That's what I deleted. There you go. Torpedoes away. Torpedoes going out on the target. And the current target is that ship. The Partisan, I believe. Yes, 70%. So it already took a lot of damage. Presumably from my torpedoes, but I cannot claim the honor for that one. That's purely down to the Sea Adder, which, by the looks of it, is also armed with torpedoes. I had kind of overlooked those, but that's a pretty significant weapon system. Yep, those are not cram cannons, they're torpedo launchers. Oh dear. I would really prefer not to get hit by those torpedoes. Oh, look at that. Would you look at that? 8 fish swimming towards the target. Presumably doing an immense amount of damage once they get there. Once again, though, altitude. Output saturated. Yay. Ugh, come on. The air pumps are switched off. I really don't understand why when they are switched off, I am not going down. This area is submerged. This area is not flooded. Does this help? I mean, I just took apart the hull. You would expect that to help in diving, but nope, the submarine is still going up. You have got to be kidding. Why is she going up? Am I not heavy enough? I don't believe that that would be the case, that I'm not heavy enough. I mean, this is a submarine built purely out of metal blocks. How could I not be heavy enough? Oops! That was the wrong block that I happened to be standing on. Back to the control room. Altitude minus 80. There we go, now we're going down. Tell me what my torpedoes are up to. Oh yes, this thing is being sandwiched between torpedoes. Hit. 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 Oh, that poor ship. 2 damaged. Torpedoes are instantly seeking a different target. The only other target that's around is the Sea Adder. So that thing's in for a bit of a surprise. 700 points of research. Resource. Oh, crap. We got torpedoes coming in. I believe that the submarine can survive. But I have a nice amount of resources. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to build a secondary hull. That's really a luxurious position for a submarine to be in. Having a secondary hull should make this thing quite a bit safer. Let's set it up so that I can paint it later. Triangle corner. Then we're going to add another beam here. This will also make her even heavier and even more difficult to control. I need to paint this thing grayish for a moment, see what I'm up to. Okay. Right. This thing has to go. That has to be one of... Oh, 2 damaged. That's the sea adder down. You're going in there, I think. Or should I take one of the straight corners? No, that's not it either. No, this should work. There we go. Then we're going to take off this side section of the sub. And instead, you should go up there. It's going to be a dual layer hull. I feel rich with 4,500 points of resources here. Okay, then another one there. And now I can go for the dual hull type. I mean, it's already pretty much got a triple layer armor. But what I mean to do is go for another compartment that can be flooded, so that I can actually get a torpedo hit and walk away, so that it doesn't instantly kill me. It's kind of difficult to do this without being able to lift the sub out of the water. So if it's not purely symmetrical, or if it doesn't look as good as it normally does, that's why. Oh, of course I should be using the fill mode here. Right into my my hydrofoils here. Took off 2 propellers by accident. Primary. And primary. Good. Propulsion reset. Blocks there and there. Is that part of the hull? That's that part of the hull. Good. Then, oh, look at that. The sun's shining on the surface by the looks of it. Minus 217. Good. Diagonal cut. And this should do it. Then more diagonals up here. Look at this monster of a submarine. It's starting to resemble, or at least remind me a bit of the Typhoon class of submarines. At least by the sheer size of it. And then seal it off. Okay, so now I have... yeah, well... I have torpedo blisters on my submarine. If a torpedo hits this section, the metal will somehow absorb the damage from the explosion. The rest of the damage is going into a no zone. It's going into a zone that is probably always going to be submerged. And with that, all of the damage, or at least most of it, will be mitigated. Unfortunately, I am still sinking. Now I may have made the submarine too heavy. Oh, never mind. I didn't seal it off properly. Where's that section of hull? There it is. If you got that problem on the one end, you're also quite likely to have it on the other end. No, apparently not. Are we breached? Where's the pump? Pump, pump, pump. Here you were. Not breached. Altitude. Whoa, we're going up. Like a cork in the water. That's a bit much. I hope that the air pump is starting to adjust. 58% buoyancy. Yeah, okay, we're doing fine. It looks like I salvaged some more stuff. Target upright. Is that thing in the water? Yes, it is. Good. Good. Come right. Oh, never mind. There's one right in front of me. That's easier. Come left. And as the final part of this episode, I'm going to repaint the submarine. Because I did a pretty sloppy job painting it. It has to be red. Sorry, black here, of course. Oh, not that one. Nope, not that one. I could even mount some EMP absorber blocks inside this compartment, so that those sections are also going to be able to absorb EMP damage. And yeah, maybe I should round out the sub a bit more, come to think of it. Might as well do that while I'm traveling. I'm still getting a pretty respectable 10 meters per second underwater. For the size of this sub, I think that's not bad. There. And I'm just going to fill that up with a metal beam. That's the first bit. Where are you at? There you go. And then this part should probably be a downward slope, if I haven't mucked it up. Yeah. Some blocks seem a bit out of place. Stuff like these should probably be entered as well. Actually, I should do or redo the entire submarine, but that is a bit outside of the scope of adventure mode, unfortunately. Downward slopes here. You should be moved up a bit further like that. You're gone. And you're there. Does this look a bit better? Yeah, I'd say so. One there. And this bit I'm not too happy about. How about an inverted beam? So these are the problem. These things are not lined up properly. There, that was it. Okay. How much is the block count currently? 1185. And the price of this submarine? 25,000 points. Yep. She's not cheap. Okay. Slow her down a bit. Go for a pretty sharp turn. And try to hit that warp gate. And let's see what's on the other end. Minus 130. 120. $115. I hope I can enter the warp gate like this, where I don't have to entirely surface the submarine. Oh, this is the bow. What's the bow? This is the bow. Yep, there's the warp gate. Surface some more. Slow down some more, give her time to surface. I think I can make out the gate. Speed up. Where is it? We're passing through the gate now, I think. Yeah, we're not. Damn it, we're too deep. Surface the ship. Come left. Slow down. We're not going to go through the gate that fast. So what do you think of the design? The platypus. Although I'm not sure that's still accurate. Because the nose, or the beak, whichever term you prefer, is a bit less sharp. Jesus, look at her turning radius. But then again, that's no problem underwater. It's just a problem when I'm surfaced. There's the gate. When I pass this red one, life is going to get more difficult. And let's see if my 8 torpedoes can save me there. And hopefully I won't spawn on top of a ship. And I still have time to dive, because on the surface this is one big, pretty much unarmored target. Yep, we're there. No things nearby. Dive, dive, dive. What's the required depth? Minus, no, it's still positive. Still positive. There we go, diving. Take a last breath of fresh air, because we're not going to see that for quite a while. If all things go to plan. Minus 64. Minus 100. Could you actually start diving? Yes, she's diving. Good. Alright, and with that I'm going to end the episode. Because we are in a new zone. And it's going to be interesting to see what we're going to encounter in this zone. But more on that next episode. For now, I hope you enjoyed. Thank you for watching. Let me know what your thoughts are. And I'll see you soon for more episodes of the Adventure Mode.